Our government's position is clear. It must be built, and it will be built.
A bombshell announcement, the federal government saying it will buy the Trans Mountain Pipeline. Of course, this is making news from coast to coast, and the price tag is pretty hefty as well, Paul.
Oh, it's a big one. Thanks so much, Sonia. $4.5 billion big. That's how much the feds will pay for the Trans Mountain Pipeline, saying this project must get done.
What we know is that Canadians, as I think one person already mentioned this morning, are supportive of a project in the national interest.
The majority of Canadians support this project. The majority of Canadians understand that we are in a transition to a clean growth century, and we will not get there overnight, but we will get there.
New poll numbers show BC is not happy with Ottawa over the Trans Mountain Pipeline. Insights West says 53% of people surveyed oppose the federal government's decision to buy that project, which only has support from a third of British Columbians. Now, local politicians are weighing in as well, including Burnaby South MP and Vancouver mayoral candidate Kennedy Stewart, who joins us from Vancouver. Kennedy, thank you very much for coming on the show. You were arrested for protesting pipelines, so I have an idea of where you stand. Your thoughts on today's announcement?
Well, I think Canadians really have to know what they bought into here. The original pipeline was built in 1953, and it leaks like a sieve. It's leaked 40,000 barrels since it was built, including major spills in Burnaby and along the rest of the route. It is in very bad repair, and in fact is in illegal areas in a lot of cases, running smack through the middle of First Nations reserves and through highly populated residential communities. They're going to have to sink hundreds of millions of dollars into the old pipeline in order to get it up to snuff, let alone the new pipeline. So this project could be $15–20 billion of taxpayers' money. It is a bad idea.
Bad idea. Okay, so 40,000 barrels, that's over a 60-year time period. Now, a lot of people will say that oil sort of stirs the drink of the Canadian economy. Ottawa, Alberta, they're both saying that we're losing millions by the day by not building this pipeline, billions if it doesn't get built at all. What do you say to that?
Well, I think that, they have their kind of future projections, but I'm talking about the reality right now. I've walked this pipeline route, I've gone on the reserves, I've gone in the communities in Burnaby and across the Lower Mainland. The original route, the original pipeline is literally a few meters away from people's homes, which is not legal. So I think the company is, the government has really pulled they've got a huge white elephant here, and the Kinder Morgan, like usual, is making off like bandits, laughing all the way back to Texas.
Interesting. I mean, your our Premier Horgan, there's some are saying that this is giving him an out. This situation now gives him an out on this whole decision, this whole moving forward. Yeah, I know there's court decisions that still hang in the balance, but some are saying it does give him an out. What do you want the Premier to do right now?
I think the Premier's been doing the thing he should be doing, is protecting British Columbians. Look, this thing, so we have some kind of loose agreements with First Nations. There's dozens of them across the pipeline route. I think if I was them, I'd be renegotiating these agreements, because it not only affects the new pipeline, it's the old pipeline too, which again, I believe goes through 15 reserves and at least 80 First Nations territories. So I think that the government has really stepped in it today. I mean, if the biggest pipeline company in the world can't make this work, why would the government make it work? And they're risking billions, I would say 15 to 20 billion when this price is over. Who's going to buy that from them? This is a desperate move, and really, I'm still going to do everything I can to stop it.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that a lot of people will continue to protest and try and stop it. As far as British Columbia is concerned, I mean, there's a lot of people who were pro-pipeline, a lot of people that are anti-pipeline, but people who are kind of 50-50 on the issue. What do you think they are feeling about this announcement, and where do they stand after this?
Well, I think, sure, maybe the province is split half and half on the new pipeline, but ask them how they feel about spending $15 to $20 billion in taxpayers' money to buy this infrastructure when they could be putting it into housing or healthcare. I mean, we haven't had any housing units built here in the city of Vancouver by the federal government, but yet they can give a pipeline company $4.5 billion for a rickety old thing built in the 1950s. Like, this is very poor judgment, and it shows what their priorities are. Their priorities are a Texas oil giant versus their own people, and I think it's a shame, and Trudeau really has stepped in it here.
Interesting to get your take on it. Thank you very much. Burnaby South MP, Vancouver mayoral candidate Kennedy Stewart. Thank you for your time, sir. Crews at a Kinder Morgan facility near Kamloops are cleaning up from a minor oil spill. About 100 liters of crude leaked into the ground at the Darfield pump station early Sunday morning. Officials say no oil got into any waterways. Protesters say it's a perfect example of just how unsafe it would be for the environment.
Yeah, these are our headwaters. The salmon, they come up the Fraser River and into the Thompson. Our headwaters are in the Adams River as well. And if the salmon species dies, 137 species die with them. Who knows how much oil is spilt there? And look at where the river is. It's right next to this.
Vancouver has launched a claim to recover costs from an oil spill that happened 3 years ago.
A system right now does not work. It does not actually go after the ship owners and get the full compensation for the costs.
The city taking the owners of the Marathassett to court over that 2015 spill that dumped 2,700 liters of bunker fuel into English Bay. It contaminated beaches and took more than 2 weeks to clean up. Mayor Gregor Robertson says the city hasn't seen a cent, adding it would be catastrophic if a tanker were to do the same thing.
The oil tankers carrying diluted bitumen is a huge risk, a huge threat, and the costs and impacts right now look virtually impossible to deal with for us. Based on what's happening today and 3 years of struggling to get a minor compensation package for the last small oil spill.